Welcome to the deep dive. So we've pulled together a pretty significant stack of
Yeah.
sources, articles, research, a lot of personal accounts, and they all focus on this one universal feeling.
Yeah, that quiet, nagging anxiety, the feeling of being stuck or confused or, just completely lost about where your own life is going.
It's this strange internal conflict, isn't it? Because on the outside, you might be busy, you might even look successful, but inside, the direction just feels wrong.
Exactly. And today, what we're doing in this deep dive is extracting the insights that reframe that lost feeling. It's not a personal failure. It's
Mhm.
it's more like a sign that a new chapter is about to start.
That's the mission. We want to look past the discomfort and find the actual tools. How to spot the signals of misdirection, how to think differently about uncertainty.
And how to use those small, aligned steps to actually create powerful change.
Yeah.
The goal here is to find the mental framework to handle that confusion, not with panic, but with clarity, to move you from feeling overwhelmed to, well, to feeling equipped.
Okay, let's unpack this. So a lot of our source material kicks off with what we're calling the wake-up call moment. And there's this one anecdote I found so relatable.
hmm
Picture this. You're sitting in your car, this is a totally normal morning, right outside your workplace, a good stable job.
hmm
Everything on paper it's fine, you're safe, you're employed.
You're meeting all the expectations, and
Mhm.
yet right there in that quiet moment, this thought just hits you like a wave.
Is this it?
Yeah, is this how the next 10 years are going to feel? Wake up, drive here, go home, repeat. It's that sudden, jarring realization that you are fundamentally off course.
Even if you don't know what the right course is yet.
Exactly. That moment when your brain just screams a question that you can't even say out loud yet, that's really the start of it all.
And the analysis we looked at connected this feeling to a really powerful analogy, the giant maze.
A maze, right. What's so interesting about that is the feeling of isolation. You're walking between these tall green walls, you're turning corners, you're definitely moving, but you have no map.
And the worst part is, everyone else looks like they have one.
Yes. They all look so purposeful, which just makes your own feeling of being lost that much more intense.
The sources mentioned that this initial stage, it shows up as this deep, constant discomfort. They describe it like wearing shoes that are the wrong size.
That's such a good way to put it.
They aren't crippling you, but there's always this low-level friction. They actually have a term for it, chronic cognitive dissonance.
And that's the analytical key right there. It's not a sign that you're weak or failing. It's a powerful signal. It's a quiet alarm bell from your own system saying, hey, something here is misaligned.
That friction leads to this sort of low-grade emotional exhaustion.
But the good news is the second you stop and actually acknowledge it, the moment you finally ask, is this really my life? That's the crossroads. That's where clarity can finally begin.
Okay, but let me just challenge that for a second. What if that discomfort isn't a signal for change? What if it's just fear of success? Or, fear of doing the hard work that any path requires?
That's a really important distinction. And fear of hard work, that usually feels more like resistance, procrastination.
Right.
The feeling of being lost, the way these sources document it, it feels more like heaviness or even indifference. And that heaviness often comes from listening to the wrong advice for way too long.
Which brings us right to the cause of all this misdirection.
Yeah.
The sheer volume of outside voices.
Absolutely. Think of it like you're standing in a super busy market and everyone, parents, teachers, bosses, and especially those perfect lives you see on social media, is just shouting advice at you.
Be a doctor. Get into business. Choose the safe option.
You maximize your earnings, be impressive. And after a while, that external noise, it just gets so loud.
It's deafening, and the sources highlight how it actually changes your focus. The question in your head shifts from, what do I actually want?
To what will make them happy with me or proud of me.
And that's where the drift begins.
Exactly. We choose the safe path because it gives us that immediate external validation. People smile, they approve. The long-term cost of ignoring what you really need, well, you put that off for later.
So we start prioritizing short-term approval over our own long-term alignment.
Precisely. And in the process, we lose touch with our inner compass. The material describes this compass as something that isn't really rational. It's made of feelings, your gut instinct, your core values.
It's the thing that quietly points you toward what feels honest, whether that's creativity or freedom or service to others.
Right. And if that inner compass turns just a few degrees away from your true north, not some big dramatic change, but a tiny, almost unnoticeable drift.
After a few years, you wake up and you are miles away from the life you actually wanted. You're on the safe path.
And that path often looks great from the outside. It gives you financial stability, impressive job titles, the things that get nods of approval at family dinners.
But when you're alone, it just feels heavy, purposeless. We saw that in the anecdote about choosing the impressive university major just because it guaranteed those external rewards.
You get the degree, you get the praise, but what you traded for, it was that spark. And what you're left with is this quiet regret. It's not that you failed.
No, it's that you succeeded brilliantly at someone else's definition of life.
The path feels heady because it's not authentic to you. So the core question for you, the listener, to ask right now is this. Am I doing this because I truly want to, or because I think I'm supposed to?
That one question is what can pull you out of what the sources call autopilot. But okay, as soon as you start turning down the volume on those outside voices, you're immediately hit with the next big challenge,
Yeah.
uncertainty.
It's unavoidable. As humans, we are just deeply uncomfortable with ambiguity. We love plans and roadmaps because they give us a sense of psychological safety.
And uncertainty feels like that horrible loading circle when a video is buffering.
Yes. That's it exactly. You know something is supposed to happen, but the waiting just makes you feel powerless and anxious.
And that loading circle is basically the gap between the life you had and the life you're trying to build. And that's terrifying.
It is, because our brains are wired to see the unknown as a threat. But this is where the crucial perspective shift has to happen. Uncertainty isn't the enemy. It's actually a vital mental resource.
The sources reframe it so well. They say uncertainty is like stepping out of that noisy market and into a silent garden.
Or an empty room in your mind.
Yeah. And the silence is so uncomfortable at first because we're so used to filling every empty space with noise or tasks.
But that silence is the only place where you can finally start to, hear your own heartbeat again. It's essential processing time.
So when someone leaves a safe job without a perfect plan B, those next few months can actually be really deep and reflective. You start doing things just because you want to. Reading, going for walks, learning some small new thing.
And the clarity, it doesn't just show up in a flash of lightning. It's more like the sun slowly coming up. At first it's dark, then you see some gray shapes, then faint outlines, and then gradually the colors start to fill in.
So uncertainty is the bridge between the old life and the new one.
It's the bridge, and it's what makes us curious again. It forces us to stop running on autopilot and start running these little experiments. So if you feel unsure right now, that's actually proof that you're on that bridge. You're moving forward.
Okay, so we've found the signal, which is discomfort. We've turned down the noise from the outside voices. We've accepted the bridge of uncertainty. So now the big question, how do we actually take the first practical steps?
We have to anchor ourselves back to our core values. This is so often the quiet crisis at the heart of it all. The reason people feel lost, even when they're succeeding, is because they've slowly drifted away from what actually matters to them.
Things like family connection or freedom or just learning, physical health.
And the drift is subtle. You get so busy ticking all the boxes at work that you stop taking those long walks, or you forget what it feels like to have a deep conversation with someone you love. Your days are full.
But your heart feels empty.
Exactly. Because the things that actually nourish your values are being neglected.
So the sources give a really simple framework for checking your alignment.
It's just asking yourself, what 3 non-negotiable things do I deeply care about in my life? And when you start intentionally walking back toward those values, not just thinking about them, but scheduling them, your whole life starts to feel more honest, even if the big problems are still there.
And to make that walk practical, we have to talk about micro goals.
Yes, we have to get rid of this idea that change is like an elevator that goes straight to the top. It's not. It is always a set of stairs, one step at a time.
We're fighting against something called activation energy, right?
Yeah.
The mental friction it takes just to start something.
Right. A big goal, like write a novel or start a business, has enormous activation energy. Your brain just shuts down. Micro goals are designed to get that energy down to almost zero.
So give us some concrete examples of that.
We are talking about tiny, friendly wins. The goal is not to write a novel. The goal is to write 1 sentence today.
The goal isn't to start a whole new fitness routine. It's the big win of just getting out of bed and drinking 1 glass of water.
And the science is solid here. Even that tiny bit of progress, that 1 sentence, that 1 glass of water, it builds momentum.
Momentum. It's the push that keeps the bicycle moving after you struggle to get it started.
It is. A tiny win releases a little bit of dopamine, which reinforces the habit, which makes the next small step just a little bit easier. You don't wait for some huge wave of motivation. You create your own momentum with these small, repeatable victories.
That momentum definitely helps, but this path of change can still feel really isolating. And that's why this final part of our analysis is so important. It's about the courage to connect.
The sources were so consistent on this. One of the most effective actions people took when they felt lost was sending a real message to a friend. Not the usual, I'm fine, busy, all good text.
You have to have a heart-to-heart. You have to
Yeah.
tell the truth. Hey, I feel totally confused about my life right now.
Yeah.
That moment of vulnerability when your finger is kind of shaking over the send button, that's an act of courage.
And the power in that is twofold. First, the friend almost never tries to fix your life. They just listen. They validate the feeling.
I get it. I felt like that too.
And that one sentence shatters the feeling of isolation. You realize you're not the only one in the maze without a map.
And second, it creates accountability. Now someone else knows you're struggling and that you're trying to change, which makes it harder to just slip back on autopilot.
We really need to drive this point home for you, the listener. You are not weak for needing support. You are brave for asking for it. Isolation makes the lost feeling bigger. Connection makes it smaller.
Finally, we analyzed this really powerful reflective tool that came up in the research, the Lost and Found Journal.
Yeah, this is a mechanism designed to consciously shift your perspective. On one side of the journal, you write down the moments when you felt genuinely stuck, sad, or confused, the times you would have labeled lost.
And on the other side, you write down what you found in those moments. Maybe it was patience you didn't know you had, or a new idea, or just the courage to start asking the hard questions.
When you do this practice, you start to see a profound truth. Looking back, you realize, oh, I wasn't just lost. I was changing. I was growing. I was becoming a different version of myself.
We have to celebrate those quiet victories. The night you didn't give up, the morning you actually got out of bed when it felt impossible, the decision to press play on a deep dive like this one, those are the real building blocks of growth.
So, what does this all actually mean? Let's just synthesize the key analytical tools we've pulled out from this deep dive. Let's solidify the vocabulary here.
We started with the need for a heart-to-heart, that deep, honest conversation that gets you past the surface-level stuff.
We talked about regret, that sadness over what you did or didn't do, like choosing that impressive path over the honest one.
And then there's uncertainty. We reframed it not as failure, but as that necessary processing time, the buffering phase between the old you and the new you.
And the danger we identified was drift, that slow, quiet movement away from your core values over time.
To fight that drift, you need to build momentum, that energy that keeps you moving forward, and you generate it with tiny, repeatable micro goals.
And all of it, really, it all hinges on perspective. The active choice to see being lost not as an endpoint, but as the signal that you're entering a period of necessary change.
That perspective is the exact opposite of living on autopilot, right? That state of doing things automatically without real thought or feeling, which is what got you into the maze in the first place.
And finally, we realized that feeling lost just means you're standing at a crossroads. It's a point that demands a difficult but ultimately necessary decision.
We've gone from that quiet discomfort in the car, through the noise of everyone else's expectations, and across that bridge of uncertainty. The real takeaway is that the journey starts not with some grand gesture, but with micro goals and a commitment to being honest with yourself. Just showing up, even when you feel empty, that counts as a win.
This deep dive shows us that our confusion is just a sign that our internal system is rebooting. That lost feeling isn't a destination, it's just a part of the process of growth.
And to leave you with a final thought to consider, think back to one time in your life you felt truly lost and directionless. What unexpected positive thing did you ultimately find there? A new skill, a powerful friendship, or maybe just the strength to finally define your own path?